Hey everyone, welcome back to Mid-Ohio for Race 3. So we've been struggling all weekend, but over the last two races I've been taking notes, gathering information, and trying to diagnose what is making us so slow. After the last race I've reasoned that the issue is too much crossweight caused by changing the rear ride height without measuring how it affects the corner weights. So the dynamic this creates is somewhat complex, and I really only have a basic understanding of it, but I'll try to explain it briefly. So crossweight refers to the weight difference between the left front and the right front wheels. The best way to visualize this is to imagine the car as a wobbly bar stool. So that would be an example of basically 100% crossweight, where all of the weight of the car is being supported by either the left front or the right front, as well as the opposite corner in the rear, but we're only looking at the weight across the front of the car. So this is significant because the more weight you have pushing the tire into the track, the more grip you'll have from that corner. When you go through a turn, the weight shifts from the inside wheel to the outside. However, the way physics works, you're always taking more weight off of the inside tire than what you're putting on the outside tire. So if when the car is static, it has more weight on the inside front than the inside rear, then that will give it more front grip through the corner and help the car turn. Since the cars that we're racing turn both left and right, you really want no more than about 10 to 15 pounds difference between the front two wheels. At the end of this weekend, we put the car on the scales and we found that it had about a 200-pound difference. So in this race, you'll see that the car is noticeably terrible, or is absolutely terrible in left-hand turns, most noticeably through turn 1. But it's a rocket ship through the right-hand corners like a keyhole. So looking at the starting order, we're still down in 15th. The weekend is almost over, so I'm just trying to keep my spirits up and enjoy the moment. If you get too hung up on results during a weekend like this, then it's easy to get frustrated and to stop having fun. So we're spending entirely too much money to not have fun, and this race isn't going to make or break my career. So hopefully we'll have someone to race with just to keep things interesting, since it looks like we're not really going to be making any progress towards the front. So let's finish up this warm-up lap and take the green flag. So coming around the keyhole to take the green flag, you can see how many cars there are in front of us. Pace car rolls off the track out of our way. Keep an eye on the starter stand right over the rear tires of these cars in front of us, and the green flag. I'm just trying to stay to the inside. It would help us if we could move to the outside to get the inside into the second turn, but we're doing the best we can with what we've got. Trying to stick to the outside around turn 5 here. It's going to be really difficult since it's off camber right here on the exit. I think this is a much better start than what we've gotten in the last two races. I think that's Tom Schweitz. Yep, Tom Schweitz again gets in front of us. So we're going to have to try to get around him as quick as we can. Puff of smoke as the car in front of us drops a wheel. Trying to work the outside. It was a little bit slow going in, but there was really no way that was ever going to work. Into turn 1 for the first time. Let's see if we can make anything happen. Slow entry. Try to get on the power early. Get a decent run out of 1. I think it's not going to be enough to take him in the keyhole, though. But like I said in the intro, we're not so good out of turn 1, but we're really good through the keyhole. We've got all that weight on the inside tire going through the right-hand corners. Look at that. Tom Schweitz has an amazing engine. He just pulls away no matter what. Looking in the mirror, we've got Mike Scanlon keeping us honest, making sure that we don't let up too much. Chris Kierst there drops a couple wheels off. Doesn't look look like it hurt him too much. Get a little wheel spin on that curve. I should remember to stay off of it. Because these cars, as I've mentioned before, I'm sure, these cars have an open differential, so any sort of slick surface when you're trying to get on the power on one of the wheels, it's just going to spin the wheels even though it only has about 114 horsepower. With the open differential, you can easily get wheel spin when you've got the car loaded up coming out of a corner. Stick with him. It looks like he gets a better exit this time, which is not what we want. At least he's not holding us back. The most frustrating thing is when you can't get around someone and you see the cars in front of them just driving away. He's keeping touch with Chris Kierst in front of him, so we're not losing any time by following him. And if we can get past him, then we might be able to stick our nose up towards into Chris Kierst's gearbox and cause some trouble for him. But first we have to get around Tom Schweitz. It looks like the car behind us, we've pulled a gap on them, so we can just focus 100% on attacking, which is how I prefer it to be. As another car goes off, and that looks like it did hurt him. I'm not sure who that is. I think that's Burton August. Yeah, in the race car. Being really careful not to overdrive the car through the keyhole. So it looks like we got a good exit, but again, these guys are just inching away down the straightaway. As they, Tom Schweitz looks to the inside, Burton looks to the outside. Are they going to sandwich him? No, not quite. And we're able to get back on their gearbox with that, trying to go 3 wide into turn 4. Looks like the running order stayed the same. So it looks like they're pulling a gap in front of Chris Kierst, who's the leader of our pack, and then there's a little bit of a gap to the car behind me. So it looks like the 4 of us here are stuck together. You can see the red lights flashing on my dashboard. That's the water temperature alarm. It was a really hot day. It was like in the low 90s, I think, high 80s, low 90s. And I was getting the temperature alarm, especially in the draft, because well, there's less air going into the radiator, so there's less chance for the heat to exchange. As it looks like Burton and Tom Schweitz are making a move on Chris. They both get him, so he loses 2 spots. And for some reason, we're just not able to keep up with these guys on the straightaway. So you can see the alarm keeps coming on and I keep dismissing it. I'm keeping a very close eye on it. It's getting hot enough to trigger the alarm, but it's not enough. It's staying low enough that I can keep racing. And it might be that high temperature might be what's giving us problems on the straightaway. Of course, the engines like to stay within a certain temperature, and if it gets too hot, then it loses some of its efficiency. Tom Schweitz looks like he runs really far wide, but he brings it back down to the apex, and that might help him get off the corner a little better, actually, if he could get back to power sooner than the rest of us. And again, he's just slipping through the air really easily. I don't know if it's the engine or if it's his really pointy car. So it looks like we have enough momentum to make a move on Chris Kierce. Can we get him in the brakes? I think so. Not quite. As always, there's that big bump there in the middle of the carousel. We're not close enough to make a move here, but maybe we can get a good run and get off the corner really well. But I think this is a good example. Understeer is a little bit tricky to see on the video, but I'm getting a lot of understeer on the exit of turn 1. And it's really killing my run down to the keyhole. But the front end feels really good through here, so maybe I can get on the power really early, get a good shift, try to use that draft to get around Chris Kierce. Looks like I've got a run on him. Try to sneak to the inside, hopefully I can get past him this time. Looks like we're just about alongside, try to brake as late as we can. Did we get it this time? Look in the mirrors, did he slap behind us? Yes! Now we have to focus our eyes forward again, try and catch up to Tom Schweitz. He's battling with Burton August there, so hopefully that battle will slow them down a little bit. Oh, big oversteer. Getting a little bit too excited. It can happen when you're following the car for a long time, and then you finally get past them, or they go off, or whatever. And you're suddenly faced with a clear track, you kind of forget how to drive a little bit. As you can see, another big slide going into the carousel. I'm not sure if that's what happened there, but it's a very easy thing to do. You become dependent upon following that car. Of course, you're always trying not to, you always want to drive your own car. It's very easy to sort of stare at the back of another car. You'll see it a lot where one driver goes off and the car behind them just follows them straight off and makes the exact same mistake. You want to avoid doing that. As you can see, Chris is right on my bumper. Don't think he's going to make a move going into the carousel. And look, keep an eye on that mirror as we get out of the keyhole here. And you can see the gap is much bigger on the exit. And I think it's because of the crossweight that I was talking about, because I have much better front grip going through the keyhole there than he does. But if you look next time we go through turn 1, keep an eye on that mirror, and he's going to come right up onto my gearbox. And despite how it looks, we're trying to put down clean laps to catch Tom Schweitz and see if we can work up into another position. Now this is another corner where the car should be good because it's a right-hander, and we've gained a little bit through it. Now keep an eye on the mirror as we exit turn 1. There's a bit of a gap to Chris behind us, but as we get in the middle of the corner, he's going to come right up under our gearbox because I just don't have the front grip. And you can see he's right there. It looks like he's going to make a move. I just don't have the front grip to carry the speed through it. He thinks about making a move, but thinks better of it. And then again here on the right-hander, he falls way back, and I get a really good run through the middle of it. It looks like we're gaining all that time in the early middle of the corner. Unfortunately, at this track, or I think all the tracks that we go to are counterclockwise or clockwise. so it's a majority right-hand corners. So it's better to have the setup off in this direction than it would be in the other direction. Of course, it would be even better to have things balanced the right way. I think we missed a shift there. And it looks like Tom Schweitz and Burton August are inching away from us. We have another big rotation. Looks like we have too much front grip in that corner. I'm not sure what number it is. Again, looking through turn one, you can see Chris closes up right behind us. And the engine revs are really low. It looks like he's going to make a move this time for sure. Yep, he's looking inside. Can we get him back? Because this is our strong point. We might be able to just get him back going into turn four. And we're pulling out even before the kink. And I have enough momentum to pull back in line in front of him, completely get around him. I have the feeling that this scenario is going to play out a couple times again before the end of the race, where he gets a run out of turn one, I get a run out of the keyhole. So if things stay like this to the end of the race, we have to keep that in mind. So you can see I'm battling oversteer a lot here. I'm not sure if I'm doing that on purpose, and it lets him get his gearbox right, or his nose right up into our gearbox again. But as I said at the beginning of the video, and as I think I was hinting at in the last video in race 2, that this is a really good example of how crossweight is affecting the car. In the left-hand corner, the car is just awful. The RPMs are low, I can't carry any speed, I just don't have any grip. And then in the right-hand corner, I can just whip it around, and Chris doesn't even stand a chance. So, like I said on the last lap, if it was mismatched the other way, and it was really good in left-hand corners and terrible in right-hand corners, then I don't think I would have been able to keep Chris behind me, because he would easily have the chance to get past me on the back straightaway here. Even with the way the car is, he's able to get past me, but I think I should be able to stick with him. But we'll see how much better of a run he gets through turn one when I'm not there holding him up. It might be enough for him to inch away from us so that I can't get an advantage down the back straightaway. We'll just have to see how it plays out. He gets a little bit loose, so that helps us out a bit, but you can see, even with that, it looks like we're pretty equal here, so it's looking pretty good for me to get a good run. That looked pretty good. He's taking the defensive line. Nothing wrong with that. Perfectly acceptable. looked like we were gaining on him. I think I might have missed a shift. So we may be fighting for 14th place, but at least we found some people to race with. Someone to race with. It would be even more frustrating if it was just me driving around on my own for 20 laps or so. Now this might be enough. He's going to take a defensive line. And no, we're still not close enough. Oh, big oversteer. Now the car is starting to become a little bit of a handful. There's a puff of smoke, yellow flag. It looks like Tom has gone off. I don't know if he spun. He must have spun. Chris goes to the outside. I try to go to the inside, and he's still racing. So I just couldn't find the way to get... Now I have to get around him. Come on. Look to the inside. I don't have the run on him. Now, this is where my car is weak, but maybe I can make something happen here. Looks like he's really slow for some reason. And now Chris has gotten away from us. It looks like, and Tom points us by to the outside. I'm not sure why. He's perfectly within his rights to fight for that position. But we'll take it. And there can't be that many laps left, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to catch up to Kyrst again. But we'll give it a shot. Tom's not going anywhere. He's going to stick right there in the mirror. car's really becoming a handful right now. Maybe I'm carrying the brakes in a little too far, but it looks like it's gotten really oversteery everywhere. Still no flag from the starter stand, so we've got at least 2 laps to go. And it's hard to tell if we're catching Chris or not. We're definitely pulling on Tom. So Chris might have gotten a little bit lucky there and gotten away from us. Tom puts himself right back in our mirrors with that really incredible straight line speed. And there's the white flag, 1 lap to go. So there's no chance we're going to be able to catch Chris. Just have to... We've got Tom behind us keeping us honest, so we're going to have to make sure that we don't slack off too much, but we're on the home stretch. Not just for this race, but for the whole weekend. This is the one dangerous place where Tom might be able to sneak up next to us with his ridiculous straight line speed. But it looks like he's not going to be able to do it. He's still way too far back. And there's a nose cone on in the middle of the track. So there must have been a lot of battling going on farther up ahead. Wonder if there's any cars parked on the side of the track. Yes, there is. That's one of the race cars. So we got 1 free position. And that must have been some last lap contact with the leaders desperately trying to improve their position. I would imagine that lead pack was nose to tail the entire race. So we come through the carousel for the final time. And there's the checkered flag. So Josh Green takes the win ahead of Dexter Zuba, Bryce Aaron, Ayrton Ori, and Jonathan Kotick is the other championship rival. Josh Green and Jonathan Kotick, I think, are the only 2. They're sort of starting to break away from everyone else in the championship. So we're going to have to keep an eye on those 2. Chris Huron, I know he was up with that lead group. And there was all that debris on the track and the cars, so there must have been some last lap drama that was going on farther down the road. We're down in 13th, which is pretty much where we've been all weekend. We get a measly 15 points. And looking at the championship standings, we are in the same position we were at the beginning of the race, in 19th spot. We haven't moved up at all, but I think we are inching our way above the sort of the middle pack series non-regulars. For example, we're 1 point behind Gord Ross, and I think that he hasn't been to a lot of the races recently. So hopefully we'll just by continuing we'll be able to advance up the ranks with the people not showing up to the race. So overall with the weekend, our results weren't there for sure, but I think overall in terms of the learning process, I think this was a huge weekend. The fact that I was able to figure out what was wrong with the car, I wasn't letting the frustration get to me, and the fact that my internal diagnosis was confirmed when we took the car back home. We put it on the scales, and there was a 250 pound difference across the front. So to be able to do all that, I think was a huge win, because I'm still sort of learning a little bit of the basics of car setup, and just sort of how to get everything right from the beginning, and then we can start changing things to make the handling better. So overall, I would say it was a fairly successful weekend, at least setting us up for the rest of the season. After this race, we go to Virginia International Raceway, and then there's a very quick turnaround. Immediately the weekend after that, we're in Pittsburgh for that race. And so we've got a lot of races coming up. Hopefully they'll all be better than this one. I'm looking forward to seeing what the car can do with the crossweight, with the crossweight fixed. So thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you very soon at VIR.